Well, greetings, everyone. I wanted to come over. I'm having some downtime today. So I'm basically sitting here. I'm working on my puzzle. I don't know how much I'm going to get done because I'm sitting here and I'm having a Bellini drink. I got some good music going on. I got some food I'm about to, well, some of it I prepared. The other part, I'm still going to prepare that later. And I'm just sitting here enjoying the vibes. And I wanted to come over here and I wanted to talk about this keyword love, the L word. Okay. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because I had to ask myself this question the other day. And the question was, Michelle, what is your definition of love? Because what I had to realize, everybody doesn't have the same definition of love. Because when people say, I love you, we just take it as, oh, they love us. But we never understand, like, because certain households, how they grew up, they viewed love in a different way. Love meant you do what I say, not what I do. Or you could have grown up in a household where it was where you couldn't be, grow up and do what you wanted to do or maybe have a certain career. It was meant for you to do and follow this type of, you know, path. And if you didn't, then either the family disowned you or you were the black sheep of the family and you were talked down to, or either you were in a family where there was a lot of manipulation, where you were lied to, there was basically no structure in the home. Love that you seen was either mom or dad putting up with multiple different partners, and maybe there was fighting in the house, maybe he was beating on her, she was beating on him, and it was where your view could have been, oh well, this is how a man, is in his home. He basically, he control his woman by putting her in his place. He control his woman by, he's a man, so he can go out there and have multiple women because, at the end of the day, she ain't going nowhere. She gonna be right here. And that's what some men, as well as some women, may have grown up and seen that, and that's how they think love is supposed to be. And even though I haven't seen that in my life, I just think that God just put something within me where I felt that love meant respect, love meant loyalty, love meant truth, being truthful with your partner. And when I would operate within the family dynamic and just certain things, because when I went to go live with my mother at the age of 14, there was basically what I would say no type of identity of a family structure. Let me say that, because there was things that my mother was into at that time, and because of her addiction and things that I guess she was trying to deal with, because she was recovering, not even saying recovering, she was trying to, I guess, mask the things that she'd been through in her childhood by numbing her pain. And that's just how sometimes a lot of people fall into addictions, not because they want to be addicted, it's because the things that they've been through in life, or the things that they've been taken through life, has caused them so much trauma that the only way they know how to deal with life is to numb that through drugs and alcohol. So when I looked at love, my way of trying to gain love from family members who were not even in the energy to properly love me was to overextend myself, to always try to do things to keep the home peaceful, always trying to do things to keep the environment in a way where there was no arguing or fighting or fussing. But no matter how much I tried to do, it would still fail. And sometimes that causes your nervous system to always be on guard, where you're always anxious and you're always nervous, and people, oh, look at her, she's so scary. Well, damn right I'm scary, because every time I turn around, there's chaos in the house, and you don't know what's getting ready to happen. Somebody arguing and fighting and fussing, and then if she got a boyfriend and he beating on her one day, and then now next time you turn around, there's somebody else in her life. So a lot of times we did not grow up with the healthy view of what love was. And then when we entered into relationships, we ended up entering into those relationships, you know, based on what we didn't want, because we may have not known actually what we wanted at the time, but we know we didn't want chaos, we know we didn't want fighting, we know we didn't want X, Y, and Z. So when we entered into relationships where people said they love us, we never heard that word. We didn't hear that word from sometimes from mom or dad or from auntie or whoever that was. Because if your home was chaotic and you grow up, especially in an environment that was an addictive household, that word was not thrown around. That word was not even said because people were chasing after self-soothing themselves. So now when you grow up and you get into a connection and a man or a woman tells you that they love you, you were like, what? You love me? Then you just gone because you're just feeling like, oh wow, finally somebody loves me. But then when you start getting into that relationship or whatever, and now they start moving differently. Now before you know it, they're cheating on you or they're doing X, Y, and Z. And it hurts you to your core, but because now you have an abandonment wound because you don't want this person to abandon you, you don't want this person to leave you, so you put up with that because you feel as though, well, love means I have to stay, I can't just give up, because now you have an attachment. And that's what I talk about you know in my podcast and things like that. Because if a person now understands that you have an abandonment wound or certain things, they'll try to create attachments. So this way, it's hard for you to leave, or they'll try to create you to have intimacy with them because we know, the X word, the I don't know, because on certain platforms you can't say words no more. Being intimate with a person now causes you to be, in a place where now that's a soul tie. And that's how some men as well as women want to lock you down, because they feel as once they now get you into that position of having intimacy with you, then it will be harder for you to leave because they created a soul tie with you. But then they'll say, oh well, I love you, I love you, and you're going off the feelings, you're going off the emotions, but you're not going off of what their version of love is. Because their version of love is control. Their version of love is manipulation. Their version of love is, well, this is what men, some men, not all, this is what men do. This is what women do. Not all women either, because they feel as though they've been so hurt and so wounded that they feel as though that they can move like that, and you should forgive them, because if you love me, your love means you should not let me go. But if you now start standing in your power and start realizing that, wait a minute, do I love myself? Let's talk about the love of self. Because regardless of me loving another person, do I love myself enough to put up those boundaries that say, wait a minute, even though I love this way, even though I love hard, even though I want committed relationships, even though when I'm in a relationship, or I'm connected to someone, I'm loyal to that person until we part ways. So if this is not what that person type of time is on, then I have to love myself enough to say that that is your choice. You have made a free will choice. And even though it can hurt you, I can't come against that, because I can basically sit up here, and you know how sometimes people try to give people ultimatums and tell them, well, if you don't do this, and then I'm not going to do that, and I need you to do this. And sometimes people are codependent on people to do certain things. Sometimes people get themselves into connections and relationships where they stay because it's a financial issue. They stay because they got children. They stay for multiple reasons, not because love is the guiding or the foundation of the connection. Because when you really love someone, the, the, to me, love means that I'm going to respect myself enough not to disrespect you. Meaning that when I move outside of our environment, or I go out there to work or whatever I'm going out there to do, I'm going to carry myself in a way that not only represents who I am, but also makes you look good. Because when people know that me and you are an item, or we're together, whether we're married or whatever the situation is that they say, one thing I can say about that person is that, they don't, when they are not around their partner, regardless of who tries to talk to them, whatever, they solid 100. You don't have to worry about that person, messing around on that other person, because Why? They respect themselves. See, when a person moves in the energy, oh well, what they don't know won't hurt them, or I'm gonna move this way, my boys will cover me, or my girls will cover me. That means they don't respect themselves, regardless if that other person don't know what you did or not, or what you out there doing. Because one thing I would say, us women, we do have intuition, even though we may not always know what happened, when it happened, or how it happened. But there's something in the energy that we can just feel something's off, or like, you just something in your energy is off. And when we ignore that because we want to be in that connection with that person, because you truly do love that person, but then after that person has broken trust, let's talk about that. Once that person has broken trust of how you desire to be loved, and I'm not talking about nothing about finances. Desire to be loved, being truthful, being faithful, being committed, being respectful. That's what I'm talking about. So when you basically say, that's how I desire to be loved, and you don't do that, then now I have to make the decision, based on the disruption that you caused in the connection. I have to make a decision. Am I going to move forward with this person? Is it worth me spending more time to give this person another chance based on how bad the disrespect was? Because see, you have to understand, when a person, there's levels to disrespect. There's levels to it. And I mean, even though we can say, well, a person shouldn't disrespect you at all, absolutely, I agree with that. But when I look at it from there's levels to disrespect, is one, yeah, you lied. Okay, well, you lied. You say you was going to work, and maybe you went and hung out with your friends or whatever like that. Okay. But then that starts a person to think, well, why did you lie? Why did you feel you had to lie? Those questions come up. Was you lying because you was with another woman, or you was talking to another woman? Like, what was the reason of the lie? Because to me, and I'm sorry, this is just how I think. A liar to me is a person who will steal and a person who will cheat. Because to me, a lie just covers all of that. Because if you lie about one thing, you'll lie about the other thing. And then if you lie about this, you'll lie about you stole something, right? So when we look at the initial disruption of when you find out a person has done you wrong, who has said to you that they love you multiple times, you need to ask yourself, how has this person shown me over the course of time that I've known them? How have they shown me that they love me? Or was I basically in an illusion of wanting to feel that they love me, but know that I was not really feeling the effects of love? I was just hoping that at some certain point in time, they would love me the way that I needed to be loved. And sometimes that's a hard truth to deal with. And let me tell you something, whenever I would go through situations in my life, whether it was my own children, my family members, or someone who I felt that, that I had a great, foundation with, or building a foundation with, and then I found out later that those things were not true, I would basically say to myself, you gotta stand for you, Michelle, because now it comes down to not what their version of love is. It's what your version of love is. And if you know your version of love is self-respect, if your version of love is loyalty, not self-respect, if your version of love is being respectful, loyalty, commitment, and being truthful, and those four things, they done broke those things, then now you have to ask yourself, now am I loving me enough? Am I looking at myself and saying, am I now disregarding what this person has done because I love them so much that I'm not seeing that really they're not returning that love to me in a way that makes me feel love? When I look at the situation now, I had to say, now you're basically sabotaging yourself because now you know the truth. The truth is in front of you. So now you don't have to sit here. Like if you sit here and continue going along with it, you can't unsee what has already been exposed. So now the weight of the burden is no longer on them because they've already shown you their version of how they love, of what their version of love is. Because see, some people's version of love is control. You know, oh well, if you love me, you should forgive me. If you love me, then you're not gonna let this separate us. And everybody makes mistakes. And you know, their version of love is, well, you know, this is how some men are, and you know, you just gonna have to, you know, ride it out if you love me. Or some people's version is, well, you know, I need you to chase me in order for you to prove to me that you love me and you want me. So when a person basically is speaking to you, their love language in action, because a lot of times people will say, I love you, but you have to see the actions that they're putting behind that word. And when they start putting those actions behind that word love, they're basically telling you, this is how I love. And if that's not your definition, then you know the two are not aligned. So now I had to sit with and forgive myself for the things that I had lowered my own definition of love. Because if I know that I am committed to a connection and I'm loyal to a connection and I'm faithful to a connection, I'm truthful to a connection, and I'm respectful of that person that's in that connection with me, but they are not showing up as that, then I have to say, then you're sabotaging yourself if you believe that this person actually loves you. So, do you love yourself enough to separate yourself and be with yourself and love yourself and wait for the person who is going to align with the way that you love? See, when you start going on that healing journey and you start really getting into the deep questions of what love truly means to you, and then you start really aligning that with what love means to that other person that you're with, then you'll start understanding and seeing that, wow, I realized that everybody doesn't love like me. Now, I'm not talking about love languages, because love languages can deal with a person is maybe a person who likes to give gifts, maybe a person who is an act of service. They like to, you know, do things, you know, for you in a way of making you feel good and comfortable, and you know, those different love languages. But when a person basically breaks your trust, breaks, you know, lies to you, manipulates you, or cheats on you, that's not a love language. That's a character flaw. That's a moral flaw within them. Because see, before they betray you by doing those things, they've already betrayed themselves. And what that should say and speak to you is that this person has no self-respect for themselves. So if they have no self-respect for themselves, that they can go and lay down with anybody and they can go and cheat and manipulate people, then how could they be a right counterpart for me when they already don't love themselves? See, sometimes we're in connections or relationships or even marriages with people who don't even have a sense of self-love. Sometimes it's self-hatred. And they hate you because you love you, or you move in a different way. Your love is so powerful that they want to destroy it. But that's when you got to look in the mirror and say, no, I'm not going to destroy who God created me to be, but I'm a love, but I'm going to set proper boundaries in it. So, okay, I didn't get to do my puzzle, but I think I had a great conversation with you guys. So, if you have any comments, please leave them below, and have a great day.